Motorists should brace themselves for a fuel price hike. The Automobile Association predicts petrol to increase by around 23 cents a litre. Diesel is expected to increase by 38 cents and illuminating paraffin by 32 cents. Let's bring in the Automobile Association spokesperson, Layton Beard, for more. Mr. Beard, thank you very much for your time here on eNCA. Now, what are you attributing these predictions to?
Yeah, thanks, Maseka. I mean, largely in part to the fact that international petroleum prices have increased significantly over June. And when the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy makes the official announcement sometime next week, we expect those prices to increase based primarily on that. And also because the international exchange rate, the rand versus the US dollar, weakened significantly over the last 2 weeks of June. And although there were some gains that were made, they weren't enough to offset those increases to international oil prices.
I think what most people don't understand is that when the price of petrol is affected, it has a ripple effect on other things as well. For instance, even food prices for, the ordinary customer as well.
No, certainly. I think when we look at those fuel prices, obviously petrol is going to impact most on individuals, but it's the diesel price that's going to have an impact on many, many consumers, on all consumers, in fact. We are very road freight reliant in South Africa. Many manufacturers and long-haul couriers make use of diesel. The agricultural sector makes use of diesel. So when that fuel price increases, it signals an input cost to manufacturers and to the agricultural sector. And those increases are obviously passed on to the consumer through higher prices. And that's an unfortunate reality that we sit with. So when the price increases by close on 40 cents, it will invariably mean that some items that people buy in retail outlets are going to be a little bit more expensive. And when you look at a basket of goods, that's obviously going to add up. So it's not great news. I think from the AA's point of view, the increase to illuminating paraffin is also very bad news, especially in winter, as the people who make use of that fuel most are the poorest of the poor, and they're going to be using it for heating in these cold days. So these increases are not very welcome, and they come at a pretty bad time in the middle of winter.
Exactly. They come at a bad time because of that ripple effect. Already things became very much more expensive because of the COVID-19 pandemic across the world, imports and exports becoming more expensive at that, and that meant that the consumer also paid the brunt. But are we seeing a decrease, Layton? Can you tell me any good news about a decrease anytime soon?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could say that it's going to happen in the next coming months, but unfortunately that would be completely speculative. When the department looks at these fuel prices, they refer to the data from the Central Energy Fund, and that's the data that the AA also looks at to make its forecasts. But that data is driven really by international petroleum prices and by the rand-US dollar exchange rate. And both of those factors are extremely volatile. To determine what's going to happen with the rand over a 2-week period is extremely difficult. You'd have to hedge your bets to make a very solid prediction on that. And international oil prices fluctuate all the time as well. And we've seen, geopolitical developments can influence that price at the drop of a hat. So it's very difficult to predict what's going to happen on a day-to-day, week-by-week basis, let alone on a month-by-month basis. I think we'd obviously like to see the fuel prices decreasing. That would mean good news for local consumers across the board. At this stage, it's very difficult to say which way this is going. We saw the rand recover quite nicely against the US dollar in the first couple of weeks of June. It sagged, unfortunately, towards the end of the month. We'll have to wait and see exactly how that's going to pan out over the next couple of weeks.